I'd like to call the order the Capital Improvement Committee meeting of Tuesday, March 7, 2023 at 2:04 PM. First thing on our agenda is review and discuss the capital requests. The top spreadsheet that I handed out with the packets, that's from Gene, so if you look down the bottom, that's what's closing out of completed projects. So we have $39,320.43 that are closing out. I have not confirmed the budget for capital as of yet. We're waiting for BVT to bring in their figures, so then we can finalize the overall budget to find out what we have left to use for free cash. So within the next week or two, we should have that information. What I would like to do, unless somebody else is opposed to it, what I had Lisa do was put, why this packet is so big, all the requests that came in this year. You'll see on the second page is our score sheet that we have, a blank capital rating sheet, so that everybody could have one of those. Then last year's tally of our scores is in the next part, and then you get into all your different requests. I guess I should have made a list of who actually requested these, but I guess I can do that pretty quickly. We should decide who we want to have come in to us at our next meeting to go through their presentations to explain the needs and the urgency of them, because they all seem to have 2024 as their requested year, which they could probably fill up our capital budget. We could discard our current list if we went with that, but we have libraries in there. Town clerk has the storage vault for all the records in there with backup documents and pictures. Police department has tasers in there, which could potentially be done through their budget like it typically is. I inquired about that, getting an answer on that to see if it stays on our capital list. School department has a few requests in there. Some of the stuff looks like it's duplicated, the papers in there, so you might have more than you need on that. Quite a bit of it was school department. What I'm not seeing in here is we had I didn't get to it yet.
Mike, what are these pictures of?
That's the storage area. I believe it's in that one of those closets right there, straight across. Over in that room is where they have all the antiquated records, the ledgers that they had back in the day. Not as detailed as the Jenks store, which, how many lollipops you bought a day, but.
Yeah, really.
We are missing some in here because I don't see the ones, we had fire department and,
I've still got that here. Somewhere here.
I'm drawing a blank. Does anybody recall?
What we had gotten before?
What we had gotten in the last meeting or two?
It was the building,
Oh, yeah, Adam,
Adam.
yeah,
and,
buildings,
Fire.
Fire
highway,
and highway.
buildings, highway,
And then the cable, just to let us know.
but that's beyond their funds.
Yeah.
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 So that's the only other three we got was building, highway, and fire.
I believe so.
All right, so we have that, we have the school. Library. I guess we still go through the same process, and to be fair about it too, they hear all the proposals that, or requests that came into us to see if it justifies changing any of our projected capital projects that we have over the next 4 years. Then we have to come up with year 5. I've asked Lisa to see if she's been tied up on many other tasks, but what I want to do is compile a list of all the capital projects that's come in, so we have a running list, because it seems like it gets lost, and there's so much of it, it gets lost, and it's hard to keep track of what was asked for and what wasn't, or when it was asked for. So school has quite a few things on there, so we don't want to put too many on with their agenda, otherwise we'll be here all afternoon.
We have a copy of the town report from last year, earliest, the latest one. Usually that lists the capital.
Oh, I have the capital list, I'll go get it.
How's the new fire truck coming along?
Still waiting on some mounting.
Is it still down in New
Yeah.
Bedford or wherever?
Yeah.
Rehoboth.
Is it Rehoboth?
Yeah, you knew that. That's where you went to school for schooling, wasn't it?
The one in New Mexico? though.
Yeah.
So is it,
The annual town report, is it in the?
That's the one we
annual?
voted in, that's
Okay, all right.
I can get the book, but that's what's in there.
Yeah, exactly.
That's from our town meeting, that's from the town meeting.
There's tons of school stuff here.
The school's gonna meet its own day.
Yeah, there's just a lot of backup documents on it. He's got all the quotes and things in there, so yeah, there's
So it's like
a bunch in there.
50 pages of school.
hey,
I thought I'd pick up my
So we have 3 more opportunities to meet on our normal schedule the next 3 Tuesdays, because on the 3rd Tuesday, that evening, I need to go before finance with whatever that we're going to be doing. So the clerk and the library is pretty straightforward. They all each have a single request. We could put that with the school department, where they have a whole bunch of requests. Next week, we could meet with building, highway, and fire, and potentially police. We should have an answer as to what direction they're gonna go in with those tasers, so whether or not they still only have 1 request. That way, we can get those 2 done, and then on the 28th, we'll just have to compile our list as of how we're going to grade them for the capital plan. We got to come up with our 5-year plan. I'll try to get some of the information by next week for the backup stuff we had for previous requests, so we can create that 5-year plan as well. I thought that we had like a master plan. I thought that's what we went off last year, because it was almost like we were reading off the script.
Is that this thing?
That's our 5-year plan that we created.
This says capital improvement plan, FY '24 to '28.
Yeah, that's the one that we created for our projection, but on all that's not all the requests that came in. There's other requests besides that.
Oh, okay.
That's on there, so.
Maybe that's what I was thinking about, did we ever do the master one?
Because you were saying, you were adding things like the kettles and stuff, and I was adding stuff, and different people were adding things on there. I thought that we had some sort of, we couldn't have been going through all these papers like this.
No, I know it was list
We
somewhere.
had something that we were going by, so I'm trying
List
to,
somewhere.
I read through our little book that we have, we keep a binder in there, so that's why I'm asking Lisa to create us a master list, similar to what Gene does on this stuff here. So then you know when the request actually came in, what it is, and whether or not it's still
Yeah,
on the list.
that's-
I think that would be helpful for the committee.
Absolutely.
Something we seriously got to think about is the stuff that is on the fiscal year '24 list. Do we all still feel strongly that they retain their space, their spot on the list? I don't see any reason why we would be changing it a year later, but maybe other people have difference of opinion.
So Mike, did you say Lisa was going to take these and compile them into one?
Well, I'm asking her to make one just for the committee itself as just a general list that we could always refer back to. To go through this process, it's going to be difficult to do that. I gotta try to figure out where to come up with all the information so we can make our 5th-year plan, because right now we have a 4-year plan. So we need to create that 5th. We're required to have a 5-year plan by bylaw. Bunch of other things we're required to do too, but we can only do so much. But it's very challenging. I'm anticipating that the budget may slip a little bit. We didn't have a lot of trend back 39,000. That's not gonna make a huge difference, so it's all gonna largely depend on what happens with the BVT thing. The school, once they come in, they can explain it to us. To put everything on the same exact year, you're at a disadvantage trying to come up with a way to put it on there, like leaving it up to us to make a decision which one of the items gets on the list, not knowing any of the history of that item.
Well, aren't we supposed to prioritize them?
Well, we're supposed to prioritize them,
No, I'm
but
talking about as a department head. Each department's supposed to somewhat prioritize what their need is.
yeah, so let's see what they did.
One thing to list everything, but I would think that
Yeah, I
you
ju-
would probably go with the most important and start working your way down.
That's just
So
says
that's one way.
department priority with fiscal year number 11.
Right.
Yeah, typically, it gets done on our historic forms that we have. This
I
here,
changed that form though, that's the new one, yeah.
somebody from the town hall. Hello? Yeah, I'm gonna have to call you back, I'm in a capital meeting. Okay. It was official, but they got sidelined.
You told them.
Anyways, yeah, so what I'll do is I'll ask Lisa to send an email back to them, because if we're going to have them come in, whether it's next week or the week after, to tell us what the priority is. Everything, according to this, it all looks like it's all a number one priority for this year. It's going to be a challenge.
So are we going to keep this as a working thing?
Well, that's already been approved at town meeting last year.
Okay.
So that is what the current 5, now it gets approved again this year, so it's subject to change, obviously. We can't compel the future meetings.
Mr. Chair, it looks like the school department I think they did prioritize.
Oh, they did?
If you look at number 1, DHS,
Oh, okay, so then it has,
cafeteria tables, that's what they have. So that's what they have as priority 1.
well, yeah, so what they did on that is, on that one that you're looking at, they're requesting to exchange that line spot from the cafeteria tables with the RTU replacement. And that's for the air conditioning for the administrative offices
Oh, yeah, okay.
at the school.
So they want to swap them?
They wanted to swap them because they did ask me to go over for a meeting a couple weeks ago, just to go over what the process was going to be and talk about the urgencies. I said, well, the thought process is, I said, I'm only speaking for myself. I said, I can't speak for everybody. I said, but the thought process is, we had a very good process last year, and unless we can really justify why we would take something off the list, we're not just going to take them off. So, and I use that for an example, the table, because that system is broken since last August for the air conditioning and the administration portion of it, and it was $36,000. So I use it as an example. I said, well, look at the cafeteria tables. I says it's about the equivalent cost. So if you could justify why you were gonna, why you could take that, reprioritize those tables because of the urgency of fixing this, that's an easier process because the budget's not being affected by it. But I would suggest that you explain why you could take it off and where is it going? Because it was urgent last year, that's why we put it on. So I would
Correct.
just like some
It was a leg
justification.
safety issue
I want
last
some,
year.
yeah, I want some justification because of an inferior collapse because of all the brackets and whatnot. So I'm just explaining what the conversation was,
Yep.
not to guide them into it, I just gave them an example. So when they come in, they're going to have to explain to us what their plan of attack is for those tables. Are they looking to put them on the following year? I would have liked to have seen a secondary request for the tables to figure out where they're going. But it's too confusing with everything on fiscal year '24 because I don't know what is actually needed before the other thing. They can't all be needed at the same time, I wouldn't think. But anything's possible. That'll be up to them to explain.
So basically I'm sorry.
Yep, good, Joe.
Basically what we need to do is who's coming in when?
Yep, if nobody's opposed to it, I'd like to bring in building, highway, fire. They're all pretty efficient as far as what their requests are. You could even sneak in another one if you wanted, but we bring in those, I think in the next 2 meetings, we should be able to get our presentations done. We bring in those 3, the next meeting, and then we have the school, the clerk, and the library. The library only has 1 request, the clerk only has 1 request, and the school's got a few of them in it, so.
As long as the school comes after the clerk and the library, have them go first.
Yeah, we can do it either way, yep.
No, so they don't have to.
No, I get that. No, I understand that, yeah. And then we just put, we'll add the police on there for that, for the second meeting. That way it gives it 2 weeks for them to figure out what the process is going to be for these tasers, whether it's going to be in the budget, if it's, I don't know, what the strategy is for these tasers, so it gives it 2 weeks to iron all that out. Yes, Gene?
The tentative schedule right now for the Finance Committee is you'll be presenting the 28th of March.
Wow.
Yeah, that's what I'm gonna do, yeah. Yep,
Okay.
yeah, so we're gonna, so if we, the 14th and the 21st is when we're gonna hear our requests, right? The 28th is when we're gonna decide if we're moving anything on fiscal year '24. We have to come up with the 5th year of the capital plan. I think we can do it, because unless something's earth-shattering, I don't see fiscal year '24 changing much. Can I see that list again? Speaking without looking at the list, maybe I should refresh my memory.
So the next 2 Tuesdays at 2 o'clock, Mike?
Yeah, we had, last meeting, we had set it up for the, all the way through the 28th. We just reserved that spot in everybody's calendar. If we didn't need them, we wouldn't use them, but it looks like that we may use them up. I think it's going to be, it won't be as painful as years past, that we may be able to get through this a little easier. We have a pretty good basis to start with. One thing I want to do is reach out to the school, because the superintendent, not directly to me, but through the administrator, had expressed a desire to take the middle school oil tank and put it in 25, and take the primary school oil tank and put it in 24. They're both the same value, same size tanks. I personally don't see an issue with it, and it's up to everybody here. I don't think it makes much difference if it's which tank we put in, as long as we correct it. I did inquire about the potential of gas ever getting up there with all the work that's going on Gilboa Street. I don't know how soon that would happen, because they did talk about bringing it up Davis Street, and we're potentially going to spend $280,000 on tanks, and if it was a relatively short period of time, would it make more sense to inspect the tanks to see if we have that kind of time left in the tanks? I don't know what the condition of these tanks are. I don't know what kind of inspections they've done with them. Age doesn't always make it bad.
I think the one in the middle school got changed when they had the spill there.
Yeah, didn't they put a 5,000 gallon tank in
I
there?
think so.
And that may be just a
Obviously.
desire to put in a larger tank.
Obviously, the primary school is an older school, it would be an older tank, so I would think that would make more sense.
Right. And that might be Paul's logic in suggesting that. And in another year, we probably have a better understanding as the probability of gas going up Davis Street. I think they're supposed to bring it up to Main, right? Pass right up North Street, right up to Main corner. I thought that's what the desire was. Anyways, everybody in agreement that we want to do building, highway, and fire on the 14th?
Yep.
Sure.
You're available for the 14th for that?
Yes.
I have to leave at 4 then.
Don't ask too many questions.
I won't.
And who won the 21st?
And we'll do the school on the 21st. The clerk, library and police. And
But I don't want to do the school first.
I know, relax for a minute, chill out.
But if you write it down.
Before we get to the 21st, I want to talk about the 14th. Chief, will you be presenting or will Kelly be presenting?
I will do.
You will be. You want to do building and highway first? That way you can hear their stuff and then,
Yeah, that's fine.
do yours?
Yeah, I don't, it
Okay,
doesn't matter
so,
where I go, here or anywhere.
yeah. No, but it might be easier if you just get theirs
I
out of
didn't
the
know you
way.
could make a request that you didn't want to go behind the school to present. I've presented behind them enough, plenty of times.
No, I
For a
just,
2-hour meeting,
yeah.
and then
but-
present.
Well, they have a lot bigger department than the library or the clerk, you know, and with them not there, that's really taking away from them, I think.
I'm just being funny, that's all.
Well, I'm being serious.
Okay.
All right, so I put building first, highway second, fire third on the 14th, the clerk first, library second, the police third because we don't know, and the school department fourth on the 21st. Prior request. And I had Lisa put the last year's tally in there just so we could all refresh our memories as to how we created the different things in there. We have, it's always in there if anybody ever wanted to see their sheet from last year, it's in the binder in the selectman's office. There's a capital binder in there. Your individual request form is actually in there. That shows how you graded stuff if you even, I didn't remember doing that. You can go in there and look at it. In be consistent with Ellie, if we could retain our scoring sheets, we won't waste any more paper.
Right. But do note that the schools are only use one side of their pages.
Well, on the 21st, you may want to bring that up.
Okay.
I don't know if they printed it out or if we printed it out here. We probably printed it out here.
Well, no,
It was
because
probably
other
email.
ones are double-sided.
Yeah.
So that, which is nice.
Yeah.
We're into global warming now, and we don't want to waste stuff like that.
Absolutely. What happened to our infamous little agenda? We don't have any meeting minutes, which is good. We don't have to go over those. Anybody have any comments, questions, or concerns about what we're doing with this capital stuff?
So Mike, all the paperwork we got today, is that preparation for the people coming before us?
Yep. It's just backup documents with their request that they sent in.
Okay.
So the clerk gave you the backup document. She submitted that last time they came before us.
So do all of those represent something they're going to ask for?
Yeah, it's just backup on their requests. Yep. So Chris is looking for two different things. I think she's looking for two different things, or maybe it's just one. Yeah, it's just one. So by state law, she's required to have the documents stored in a fireproof vault. So Jean has two safes in her room. There's one in the town clerk's office. There's stuff behind those doors over there. There's stuff upstairs. There's stuff everywhere. One of the thought processes, and I'm going to follow up with that to find out, because I never did get a direct answer, had reached out to Recreation to find out if in fact that they use the locker rooms downstairs in the gymnasium because of the elevator and the access and stuff, by the state statute, what she needs for cubic feet, that actually fits. It's almost a separate structure. It's outside, so it would be easy to protect that from any catastrophic event. It's not, there's nothing above it or around it. It's only one wall that touches the building. Her voting machines, all that stuff would go in there. It would make sense for us from a storage standpoint. I know that Jean would be sad to see the safes leave her office, but I think she could make use of that space for something else. That's the process with that. The other backup stuff is just with the school. He just gave you the quotes. He's got a pickup truck in there, so he showed you the actual quote. He's got stuff on there for his tractors and air conditioning repairs and things like that. So that's all that backup documents. Sometimes we get that, sometimes we don't. So when they come in to present, then they'll either explain it or bring something to back it up. Like on the tables, we didn't get anything on that, just an explanation. They're 30 years old, the brackets are all broken, they fall apart.
So I guess where I'm puzzled is when we look at what we approved last year for FY '24, is the stuff that we're getting from everybody for FY '24?
Well, everybody can request everything that they want. It's up to us to decide what is a high priority and what we can afford to do.
So, for instance, we have the stuff we approved for FY '24 here, but then we also have,
All these requests.
so,
So our job is to look at this, and is this list that we compiled urgent and still valid? Right? So if it's urgent enough, it stays where it is. If none of it's urgent, and you just slide it all forward and you make a whole new 24, you can do that too, as a committee. So I keep going back to the same thing, that we all felt very strongly about this last year and compiled a good list. So for the sake of the integrity of this committee, unless somebody can justify why we're changing it or dismissing an item on there, I don't think we should be.
so for instance, I'm just looking at this, the school for truck and steel wheels and batteries,
Yep,
grand total of
62,000.
62,000. And on the list that we approved for FY '24 last year,
Yep.
there's nothing close to that from the school for 62,000. So you,
Well, yeah, no, so
did they not know about that either?
Yeah, don't get confused on what I had suggested to the school, just an example, as if they, I'll use the fire department for argument's sake. Last year, we had a $750,000 truck that we purchased for them.
Right.
And say we approved that last year to be on this year's budget, and something miraculous happened, and he found out that he didn't have to replace that truck. It's an easier argument for him to slide something into that space because he's already been earmarked. Not that he's guaranteed, but there's a rationality to it that we already were going to purchase something for that particular department. So with the tables, they're faced with a problem. I don't know how they figure it out because I don't know anything about their budgets and how any of that works. They have to fix this HVAC system. So the HVAC system is $36,000 to replace and $24,000 to repair. So either way, they got to fix it or replace it, right? So if you repair it, if you look it's in the documents, I don't have to dig through it, I already read them before, they're going to evacuate all the R22 refrigerant, which has been outdated for 10 years or more. They're going to take that out, they're going to put a new compressor, a new condenser in, and then put the R22 back in. But if you buy a new system, that's going to have the new refrigerant in there, whether it's 410 or whatever. There's another product that's coming out after that. So if you repair it, you're still in the antiquated phase, right? You're not being environmentally responsible. There's a whole bunch of hosts of things that go with it. Plus, you're at 60% of the cost, or 66% of the cost of putting a new one in. So why would you put that kind of money in and still have all the old components? Because something else is going to break, circuit board or some foolish thing's going to go on it. So you're much better off replacing it for the extra 30% or 33% of the cost of that product, and then you're done. Use the fire truck. He blows the motor in it. We fix his fire truck. He's still got a 2001 fire truck.
Yeah. So again, just to use this new
Yep.
Ford truck as an example,
Yep.
would it be uncharitable to say to Jeff, it's not on our list that we approved last year, why are you asking us for it?
Well, he can ask, no, he's entitled to ask for everything he can.
Okay.
Our responsibility is to be responsible to the town as a whole.
So tell me why
You
it
can
wasn't on the list
you can be sympathetic to everybody that comes in, but you still have to make a decision. We sat at another meeting, and somebody came before us, and I said, look, you as an individual are passionate about what your need is. We as a body have to look at it as a whole. We can't be passionate, oh, he needs a truck. Yeah, I'm sure he does need a truck. Is that so important that it justifies taking something off the list? That's what it comes down to. Just if we were trying to fill a gap and we said, I'm going to use one of the steam kettles, right? Say, all right, so we got an extra 20 grand. What do we want to do with that 20 grand? Put a steam kettle in there. Well, that's just a haphazard decision. But when you get into an oil tank, we just experienced a $750,000 spill in this building, which we ate $250,000 of it because the insurance company only gave us $500,000. It would be basically negligent of us to say, you don't need that oil tank, I'm going to get him a truck. That doesn't make sense. You really have to justify what the need is. I'm not disputing the fact that he needs a truck, but he just gave us a stack of stuff. So is it up to us to cherry pick that truck out? No, he needs to show us what's important, when do you actually need it? You're putting it all in. The mindset could be, and I'm not saying it is, it could be that, well, we'll just ask for everything and maybe we'll get something. Well, that's not how it works. I'm trying to be responsible and justify the needs as they come forward, so we can put them on a list.
So Mike, would it be fair to say that, in your opinion, the attitude of the committee should be that the things that we approved last year are going to be there unless there's an overwhelming reason to move one out?
If that is my personal opinion, because I believe in us as a group. I think everybody put together a very good effort last year. But that's up to everybody to decide. If you change your mind as to what that need is, that's your choice. You can do that. Everybody can do that. That's why when I go through this process, I'll go Brandon, then I'll go Brandon, and back and forth, to give everybody the opportunity to make sure that if you want to speak, you can speak, so that we don't hear after, well, you didn't let me say anything. No, I asked you if you wanted to say something. And that's the purpose of that. Plus, it gets you more comfortable with speaking your mind, because we're not here to be judgmental, we're just here to try to have a good process.
So would this be a realistic scenario that someone comes before us with a proposal, we say, well, we made up a priority list last year, and your proposal isn't of such nature that we're changing our mind, so thanks for coming?
Yeah, no, I don't know if we don't, yeah, but you don't have those discussions, because what happens is Shirley comes in and she tells us what our requests are. We're not telling her whether we support it or not. We're listening to her, basically testimony that tell us the facts of why she really needs that. Ellie comes in, Brandon comes in, you come in, everybody comes in. After you all leave, we sit there with our little list. Okay. I rate Shirley at a 2, I got Ellie at a 3, I got Brandon at a 1, and then that's how we end up with this. It's just an average of all the numbers, yes.
When you do I was trying to figure this part out. So this is the capital list from last year.
That's what we graded, I just gave you that, so you knew what the averages were
Right,
for us
yeah,
as a
so some of them were all the department prioritized, was it their priority, or was it, because if you look at the school department in here, the number 1 thing was the oil tank, and number 2 thing was the oil tank, and then the cafeteria table replacement was number 5. And then how do we rate it with the ratings on the right-hand side? Do we only give it 1, 2, or 3?
1, 2, 3, or 4.
Or
So,
4? So nobody got a 4, okay.
well, no, somebody could have got a 4.
Okay,
So, I'm going to use,
All
again,
right.
just examples. A trash can. I'm trying to think of something that's not identifying a department, because I don't want to offend or favor or anything like that. So we have a trash can, we need to buy a trash can. Ken thinks it's really important. He puts a 4 on it. Dick doesn't think it's important at all. He puts a 2 on it. So it ended up
Ken
at,
put a 4 on it?
he put a 4 on it.
Because, why? I didn't hear.
No, he felt it was really important, so he put a 4 on it. This
So
is just a
that's-
hypo,
So that's what I'm trying to figure out.
right, I know, so
Yeah.
hear me out, and you'll understand what I'm saying. He put a 4 on it,
Yeah,
Dick put a 2 on it.
I like trash cans.
yeah, I do too.
Right, but combined, that's a 6, but on average, it's a 3, because you divide it in half, that's all it is. That's how you got a 3. You won't get a 4 unless everybody at this table put a 4 on it. You could never get a
Okay,
4.
so it goes opposite then. So the department priority is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, that way. And our rating is 4, 3, 2, 1.
Correct.
Okay, that's all I was asking.
I took that list and split it up because it was very confusing to try to sit there and grade it with that. So
Okay, I gotta write
we
that
took the same list, except the department's got the one with priority on it, and we got the one with rating on it, or scoring on it. And they did go in opposite directions, the way the scoring and the priorities work. So it was very confusing to try to sit there and understand it. So this list was only made so you understood that the department, and this is what we're looking for, like from the school with the stuff they gave us this year, they should be telling us where their priority is. With the example of the pickup truck, is that a 1, a 2, a 3, or a 4? We don't know.
That was
Right.
not on there, it's not listed?
On this stuff? I don't believe. School department, oil tank, front mower, Bunsen pipe, cafeteria, ovens. Nope.
I'm talking about the priority list for what
For the pickup truck?
page they submitted for the pickup. They should have put whether that was a priority 1, 2, 3, 4, whatever.
I don't know, that was what Dick was looking at, so.
Yeah, so as I'm looking through this thing, right, I see what they did. So when we started this meeting, we all thought it was, well, I thought it was, and I probably directed everybody on that it was all for fiscal year '24. This is the year that they're requesting it. So if you look at the one for that's exchanging the tables,
Yep.
it says department priority within fiscal year number 1. But if you go to the Douglas Middle School corridor floor replacement, department priority fiscal year number 7. So it's confusing to follow like this. it would be easier for us as a group if we knew they wanted in a fiscal year, 7 years from when? So is it 2031? 2032?
So the truck was in number 3 on their priority this year, but it wasn't even on last year. I don't think.
All right. Priority for fiscal year number 3? Does it say number 3 next to it?
2024, department priority for the truck report, number 3.
So this is the confusing part.
See right here?
So right here, within fiscal year number 3, right? So is that telling us 3 years out from now? Is that 27?
I always look at that as the priority of the item.
That's not what they're saying in there, though, because it says, I don't know. So they got number 7 on another one.
Maybe it was 7 last year, I don't know. So it moved up.
But the priorities only went 1, 2, 3, 4.
So did any of their stuff from last year get, did they had some extra dough in their budget left over that they could have used on something like this?
Who's that, the school department?
Yeah.
I don't know.
But here's a number 6. Cafeteria tables, number 6.
On last year's?
No, this year's.
This is this year's.
Oh, okay. Because last year,
So they answered the question with the tables, I guess, right? Because you found it.
well, the table last year was 5.
Oh, it says department priority within fiscal year. So they're thinking 24, and they're calling it a 7. That's the,
Yeah, so
That's all I-
they'll explain all that when they come to us, because if you look at the irrigation well, it's a number 10. So I don't know what that means. I don't know, because you only have priorities 1 through 4. So is that 10 years from now, or is that 10th on their list?
no, I think they're just going by this year, and they're itemizing it, what place they are, whether it be 16 or 1.
Oh, okay.
Like,
All right.
so the tables were real high up last year to get replaced.
Yeah, you and I both advocated for the tables
Correct.
last year.
Yeah,
Yeah.
in disrepair.
So when I do grants, when I have to go to the federal government for grants, let's say I put in for self-contained breathing apparatus. Well, I don't get the grant. Well, how does it look if I don't put in for the same thing next year? It just looks like I'm throwing to see what I can get, and I don't do that with the feds. I try to stay consistent. You haven't given me this, and I'm still asking you for
Right.
this because this is really important. And then normally you'll get it like at least on the 3rd try. But
Yeah.
If
No,
I-
but you have to show,
if I
if
put
you
in
let
for
it drop
that,
off.
and you know what, maybe I'll get a truck this year, and you're not being consistent. I'm not sure that, I'm not saying they're not doing that, I'm just saying that,
Yeah, they'll have to, I need some clarity from them, because I'm not, you're probably correct as to how they're doing it, but it's not clear to me, that's.
because that's how I fill it out as
Yeah.
a department. I go right down the list, and it changes from year to year, and sometimes it's a tie. They're both a priority, and I just go with where, whatever the board needs,
Or whatever there's money
because I feel they're both
available.
important. Correct.
So if I may,
Yes, go ahead, Charlie.
so where this gives me problems is we put in, and so don't the departments, a lot of time in, what their projection for 5-year plan is, okay? They know their department, they know, or they should know the needs. And then, okay, so we evaluate what we need to do, and we agree on the 5-year requests.
Yeah.
And it's like, the next year comes along. it's kind of-
And we might have had that, I'm still
And-
struggling with how we went through this process last year without
All right, so let
a
me
list.
finish.
Yeah,
So then, to me, it looks like, okay, nobody looks at the 5-year plan, and this was brought up at the other meeting. What was your priority for this coming year, okay? But if you have had a situation where something is really needed, to me, that's where a new item comes in for that year we're doing. Otherwise, why are we bothering to go through all this stuff? Because it's just not looked at again as a priority. And we're trying to project so that we know what's needed for, whether we have the money or not, but we're projecting on what's told to us by the different committees or boards.
Through that, you help me with the problem. I'm going to ask Lisa to ask each department to give us their complete list, because that'll help her compile this master list that we're looking for this committee. We need that.
I used to go out 10 years, and then things might shuffle around one or
Right.
two.
Because something you needed came up.
But now I always do a 5. Like, I had some issues this year, and I moved some stuff around and tried to take into consideration that we were setting money aside. So I slid things down or moved other things up because there were less money, and it's never ending for us.
It's never going to be perfect.
But, no,
yeah.
it's not. But you're trying to be responsible and not just throw things at the wall because you think you can
Right.
get some.
Because, and the other problem I have is, okay, so we present our 5-year plan at a town meeting. To me, I'm asking the town meeting to have faith in the capital committee, that this is what we're projecting on the basis of what we've learned from the committees and the departments. And I have had a person or two say, hey, wait a minute, that's not what we voted on at the last town meeting in your 5-year plan. So that really kind of stuck with me. So, and I had to explain, well, sometimes important things, more important than what we've projected, has to be taken care of. But all in all, this is what we're projecting for a 5-year plan.
Yep. And that's why at the beginning of this process, and this time around, I had suggested that 24 and 25 pretty much remains the same, because I felt that we, as a group, we did a very good job last year, and we have a respectable list going forward, assuming that our budget was what our budget was. But we're over on a few of the years, probably most of them. But at least we had a good budget process, capital process that we went through. And things come up, things change.
Absolutely.
We never know when we're going to break a water heater at our house. Things happen, right? So if we can justify it, then it maintains what you're just alluding to, the integrity of the process of what we're going through. And that's all I'm trying to do, is just,
And I agree.
I'm not trying to be a stickler and be this, and just dig my feet in and say, no, I don't want to change something. It's just a suggestion.
But we've made progress because we're setting aside $360,000 a year for the roads. That's progress.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's huge, because
yeah.
and that's all relative to a lot of things. He won't be blowing out the front ends of all his equipment running up and down Northwest Main Street anymore, because there's actually a decent road from the corner of Wallace Street up. And I'm like, wow, this thing's pretty nice.
Oh, no, it is.
All right? Once we
But you
get North
get
Street
to-
and Gilboa done, we'll be in heaven.
But once you get to the town line on Northeast
Sutton.
Main,
Right.
it's a disaster.
Yep, no, but because we chose as a group
Yes,
to take 35% of the funds that we anticipate and put it towards that was huge for the town as a whole, right? We could easily use that money somewhere else, because
Absolutely.
there's a ton of requests from everybody. But I think it's a responsibility that we have to make sure that we're a long-term correction, just like the stabilization account that we all discussed and supported, and ultimately we got it passed. I think long-term, that's huge for us, for a town, because it takes the burden off his department, and doesn't have to worry about so much how we're going to do this, because with that and the road money,
yeah.
that took up the projected budget every single year. So every 5 years, if we do that, we're just going to keep slipping further and further back. So what I was trying to do was catch up that 1 year we were losing and help chisel away some of these requests that we have.
Yep.
So with that, next meeting we'll have building, highway, and fire. Following meeting, we'll have school, the town clerk, the library, and the police department, not necessarily in that order. And then our goal is to have our grading done for the 28th. So then I can go spend the evening with another member of our committee and present what we have.
We're an easy group.
It's not your job to be easy,
Right, exactly.
No, but through this whole
but
process,
it's good.
We're easy to talk to.
with all this information that gets put out there, it helps a lot of things. With the last meeting with the special stabilization account as well as the adult social center bus, the communication helped a lot, because then when you got to the town meeting, a lot of the stuff was already answered. If anybody has anything else, if not, I would look for a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
That was a very quick motion from Ken Vincent and a also quick second from Mr. Vandenberg. All in favor?
Aye.
Thanks, everybody, and you can make it to work? Or you